You know, ever so often, something pops up in astronomy that just completely stumps us. But very few events have been as wild, as controversial, or as genuinely strange as the story of this mysterious visitor from deep space. A visitor that honestly left us with way more questions than answers.
So let's just cut right to the chase, right? This is the question at the heart of the whole thing. Are aliens trying to contact us? It's a question science usually, and for good reason, kind of pushes to the side. But then this object, named 3I/Atlas, swung through our solar system, and it left behind a trail of clues so weird that you just couldn't ignore the question anymore.
Okay, so let's set the scene. The story gets going in the summer of 2025. Astronomers spot something new, and it's immediately obvious this thing is not from around here. It was a total uninvited guest, and it was moving at a speed that set off alarm bells everywhere.
Get this, 90 kilometers per second. I mean, that's just insane. To give you an idea, that's fast enough to get from New York to LA in under a minute. So this wasn't just fast, it was a record smasher. And that incredible speed was really the first huge clue that we were dealing with something special.
And its trajectory? Well, that basically sealed the deal on where it came from. This was no local asteroid caught in the sun's gravity. Nope. It was on a hyperbolic orbit, which is basically a one-way ticket through our solar system. It came from the vast emptiness between the stars, and it was headed right back out, never to return.
Right from the beginning, scientists were scratching their heads because this thing just didn't fit into any of our neat little boxes. As Dr. Juan Mendez put it, it's not behaving like a comet or an asteroid. It's something in between. And you know, in astronomy, when something doesn't fit, that's when it gets really, really interesting.
So as astronomers pointed more and more telescopes at it, the plot just thickened. The object was leaving this breadcrumb trail of bizarre clues that didn't add up to, well, anything we'd ever seen before.
They actually dug into some older images and were shocked to see that the object was already awake back in May, venting gas and dust way before it should have been. Then, after it was officially discovered in the summer, things got even weirder. By August, it started flashing, emitting these regular, repeating pulses of light. It wasn't random at all. It was like clockwork.
That early activity is what really baffled everyone. It was active way out in the cold, far from the sun's warmth. One researcher said it perfectly. It was like watching snow melt inside a freezer. I mean, how does that even happen? It suggests some kind of internal power source, not just sunlight.
So, of course, they called in the big guns, the James Webb Space Telescope, and what it saw, just wow. It was spitting out water vapor where everything should be frozen solid. Its chemical signature was totally alien, with 10 times more carbon dioxide than any comet we've ever seen. And maybe the weirdest part? The gas jets weren't just spraying out randomly. They were focused, almost looked like, well, like controlled exhaust plumes.
But believe it or not, all of that, the speed, the flashes, the weird jets, that wasn't even the most shocking part, not by a long shot. The biggest clue from 3I/Atlas wasn't something astronomers saw, it was something they heard.
Several radio observatories picked up a really strange pattern coming from the object's direction, and a huge debate kicked off. The official explanation was pretty simple. Oh, it's just interference from Starlink satellites. But an independent team not only confirmed the pattern, they found that it didn't match any known frequency coming from Earth.
So let's break down exactly what they detected. The signal, picked up by world-class observatories like ALMA and the VLA, was in a really narrow frequency band, which is unusual for natural stuff. But the kicker was the pattern, a consistent, repeating pulse. It was arriving like clockwork, every 90 seconds. This rhythm, this pulse, was coming straight from our interstellar visitor. Naturally, this blew the doors wide open in the scientific community. Nobody could deny the data was real. The question was, what did it mean? And this is where our story splits into two very different paths. You have the official, cautious science on one side and some pretty tantalizing speculation on the other.
So, officially, the big space agencies played it very, very cool. They said the radio files were under review, and importantly, they kept them under wraps. The official line was firm. There's nothing here that's definitively technology.
But then, a memo got leaked, and its conclusion was an absolute bombshell. It said the signal showed consistent modulation, and modulation is a big deal. That means it's a structured pattern that could carry information. And it concluded this pattern was uncharacteristic of known natural phenomena. This flew right in the face of the cautious public statements. It meant that behind closed doors, they were taking a much more extraordinary possibility very seriously.
You know, what makes this whole thing so compelling is that 3I/Atlas isn't a one-off. It's the third weird interstellar visitor we've had in just a few years. First, there was Oumuamua, which had that weird acceleration, then Borisov with its totally alien chemistry, and now Atlas, which is active, weird, and has this hint of an artificial signal. So you have to ask yourself, are these all just cosmic coincidences, or are we starting to see a pattern here?
Avi Loeb from Harvard, he really summed up the speculative side of things perfectly. He basically said that if an advanced civilization wanted to send a scout ship into our solar system, it wouldn't be some flashy mothership. It would look exactly like this: silent, elusive, and strange.
Which brings us to the end of the story. Because just as this debate was reaching a fever pitch, our interstellar visitors started heading for the exit, taking its biggest secrets right along with it.
By the end of 2025, the show was over. As 3I/Atlas passed Jupiter's orbit, it just went quiet. The flashes of light stopped, the weird radio pulses stopped. It just faded back into the interstellar darkness, leaving us with nothing but a hard drive full of data and some massive, lingering questions.
And that data? Well, it's got a nickname among some astronomers. They call it the hum. It's this idea of a faint, rhythmic signal that's buried in all the cosmic static, a pattern that just doesn't seem to belong. And the signal from 3I/Atlas, it's now the most famous and most compelling example of the hum.
So the object is gone. It's a ghost in the interstellar void. But we still have the recording of its signal, this little digital echo on a server somewhere. The official explanation is simple. It was interference, static, a cosmic coincidence. But when you look at all the evidence together, the impossible speed, the unnatural activity, those focused jets and that rhythmic signal, you're left with one profound and frankly kind of chilling question. What if the hum wasn't just noise?